Hello, we made it. We're here.
Hello,
Glory to God.
everyone.
By your
Yeah,
prayers, we're here.
yeah.
And for some of you, by again, in spite of your prayers, we're here. No, I'm just kidding.
I hope not, but
No,
you
I
never
hope not.
know. You never know.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. We're just by your prayers, we're here. If you were praying that we weren't here, then we're here.
Yeah.
Even then, we're here. So
We got
glory to God.
we got totally caught up in a really great conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about we were talking about well, I'll just say it. We were
That's
talking
fine.
about universalism and how it's not true. And and um and then I was telling Jeremy that Pavel Florensky in his book that I'm reading has this chapter in which he deals with contradiction and what contradiction is. And the reason it's so important to understand contradiction is because God is in the business of reconciliation. That's what mercy is. Okay? Mercy is healing. Healing is reconciliation. And you can think about it as a cut on your arm, right? When you cut something, it it splits apart. It becomes polarized. It has two sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and when it begins to heal, it reconciles itself together,
Mm.
right? It literally does. Because here's the deal with reconciliation. This is how it's supposed to be. This is what it was meant to be together.
Yeah.
The cut, the skin. The skin was never meant to be open. It was always meant to be together. And so that's, to me, that's what reconciliation is.
Yeah.
It's so, and that's what mercy is. Mercy, and that's why mercy and healing are equated in the Orthodox Church, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's not that you're asking God to give you his special favor. You're not asking for a get out of jail free card, because we don't get out of jail free. Okay? Part of that reconciliation is going to jail. And this is what we were talking about before, right? In the case of, and I'll just say this too, in the case of claiming that someone like Jordan Peterson has changed, when I don't know who Jordan Peterson is. All I've ever seen is Jordan Peterson on YouTube. I've seen him in his classroom. I've seen him trying to make sense of, help others to see sense, in a public place. I've seen him thinking out loud, and I've seen him on Daily Wire. But I've never sat across from Jordan Peterson every day of my life having dinner with him. I've never seen him lose his temper. I've never seen him break down and cry. I don't know what makes him tick. Right.
Right. Yeah.
And so, oh, now I forgot why I was talking about Jordan Peterson. I need to rewind this.
Well,
But
reconciliation and changing and I don't
yeah,
know how you were tying them.
well, okay.
Honestly.
Let me think, because it'll come to me. Just give me a second. Well, going back to, I haven't remembered it, okay, but I'm just going to wing it. Going back to Pavel Florensky, when he talks about contradiction, he says if universalism is, let's say it's true, then it's also not true, because whatever is the opposite is also true. Okay,
Right.
whatever is this is true. The opposite is also true, and that's why arguing with one another, criticizing work, and I can see the utility in it. I'm not saying we should never do it. It's really a fool's errand, because whatever you believe to be true, the other person, if they so wish, can prove that the opposite is also true. And this is a fact. Okay?
Yeah. Right.
So going back to Jordan Peterson, let's say that 5 years ago he was a really nice person, and now he's not. Right? Those are opposites, but they're both true because he's a man of passion, he's a man of courage, and those things are going to manifest in different ways, right? And then
Right.
you and I were talking about um, how in moments on the farm, for example, when I've had a
Mm.
goat laboring for like 20 hours and I know she's way over and I know I have to do something or everyone's going to die, and I'm standing there wringing my hands. And this is a little different than a cow, Jeremy, because a goat's this big.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I got to make sure my fingernails are clipped and I'm completely lubed up, and I
Yeah.
don't touch anything on the outside because I can kill her, which I've done, which unfortunately I've had that experience. And I've had to do what you did. I've had to go in completely blind. Like I've never done it before. I don't want to do it. I'm afraid. And yet I have to change. I have to. And I'm not changing, actually. I'm becoming something that I always was, or I wouldn't be in the position that I find myself in. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I would
Right.
never want to be a farmer if I didn't think I could kill an animal or birth an animal.
Right.
I just never did it yet. So, anyway, I think I'm done
Mm.
that diatribe. I think I got there.
Well, I like it, yeah, to tie it together. I think this kind of ties in with stuff I was thinking about earlier today about um, how the reality to what you're saying. Reality is a series of nested realities.
Yeah.
It's the Russian nesting dolls where it's a pattern, but it's a repeating pattern at different scales, and it has no scale. That's the thing. It's a pattern that manifests in different ways that we can see, and
Right.
that's where you're talking about where this is true and this is true, and those are contained, even
Yeah.
if they're opposites. It's contained in a larger truth, and that just keeps scaling up. That's I was reading an essay about time and eternity, and that's essentially what the church fathers say is that it's like there's an eternity where God is and he is being and nothing else can be there.
Yeah.
And then but he proceeds from there into the eternity where the angels are, and then he proceeds from there into our eternity or into our time and space. And that's what the incarnation was him leaving his eternity, and not leaving it but condescending from it and condescending into our time. And so he's in all things. He's in time and space. He is time and space. It's embedded in him. It's embedded in his being, but he also entered into it
Right.
so that we can see him and have a relationship with him. And
Right.
then, but he's the time is just another form of proceeding from the Father, but it's nested within the eternity that the angels are in, which is nested within
Yeah.
the eternity that the Father is. Right.
Well, what I'm thinking right now, I got a little news, like I always get it's today is a saint's day, right? Or it's
Yeah.
it's a
Yes.
feast day. And so I got, oh, why isn't it there? Weird. I got a thing on the Dormition of the Theotokos.
We are in the Dormition fast right now.
Yeah, and for some reason it doesn't.
Preparing for her Dormition, which is on August 5th, August 15th. Tomorrow is the transfiguration of Christ.
Right. So hang on, I'm somehow lost my mail. So where did it go? And I noticed this today when I was reading it. There was a little here. Please load. It's the spinning wheel of death.
Happens.
My iPad is sucking for air, man. It's so slow. Anyway, what
is it still a little beach ball in Mac OS? It used to be a little beach ball when it was spinning.
No, it's not a beach ball.
That's too bad.
But
The
anyway,
beach ball was fun.
There's a prayer that they put in the mail from St. Nicholas from the parish. Oh, here it is. It arrived.
Yay.
Okay. In giving birth, you preserved your virginity. In falling asleep. Oh, this is the Troparian, sorry. In giving birth, you preserved your virginity. In falling asleep, you did not forsake the world, O Theotokos. You were translated to life, O Mother of Life, and by your prayers you deliver our souls from death. It's nothing but opposites. That whole verse, that whole Troparian. What is it saying to us, Jeremy? It's talking about reconciliation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And paradox.
Yeah, and how? Yeah, because like George MacDonald says it so well in his Justice sermon. And I'm not making a case for universalism, but he says justice and mercy have to be the same thing because God is one.
Yeah.
You cannot divide him into offices. And this, I think, is the problem when if you just, let's say you decide not to be a universalist, now you have to solve for the problem because the opposite is true.
Mm-hmm.
Hell is real, right? There's yeah, and then you start making up stuff, for lack of a better word. I could think of a better word, but I won't say it.
Conjecture.
Yeah, like you start talking, oh, well, these people are special. They get chosen before they're born, and these ones go, and this is, or here's the age limit. Consciousness has an age limit, right?
Right.
And yeah, but what if you're born mentally disabled? Then what? Oh well, sorry, but here's the line, and it's all hubris because nobody knows.
Right.
Because what's happening is it's a reconciliation of opposites, and we don't get that. What does it say here about the Theotokos? Right. In giving birth, you preserved your virginity. That doesn't make any sense.
Right. That's like a Zen cone.
It makes no sense.
Right. It's supra-rational is the word that the church fathers use.
That's exactly what it is.
Supra-rational.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. That's you did there. We landed the plane. That was it.
So when people ask me if I'm a universalist, I say no. I don't talk about it. This is a decision that I've made.
Yeah.
And but I do agree with St. Gregory of Nyssa when it comes to apokatastasis, because what St. Gregory of Nyssa is showing us and others is that God is in the business of reconciliation. And we don't know how that works because we don't even understand the sentence, in giving birth, you preserved your virginity.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would really like to, before we start, Jeremy, if you don't mind.
Yes.
I'm just throwing this out here.
That's fine.
Because I'm actually just learning how to write. Can you believe it? And so I started a little project, and I thought maybe I'd just read you one little thing that I wrote recently.
Okay. Let's hear it.
And then I would love feedback. And I don't mean literary criticism, just whatever comes to your mind.
Sounds good.
Okay. They glide past me all together. They were 6 in the beginning, and they are still 6. They near the 4-month mark, having emerged yellow and fluff from the egg in April. Now they are almost indistinguishable from their parents, who are only slightly taller than they. They fly now. I watched them arrive to their birthplace from the west this morning, practice for the long journey to come in just a couple of months. They have almost lived a whole life in this short time, and they've never done anything they were not made to do. They have fulfilled their reason to be, and in doing this, they have filled me full. Thinking about the soul is in the body, or the body is in the soul? It must be the latter. Deluded, we believe that the soul is in the body, trapped, and then we feel trapped. But what if we believe the body is in the soul? Then we are free. Here, I think, is where the lame walk and the blind see. Here is where the 5,000 were fed. Here is where the paralytic takes up his bed. Here is where the weakened corpse of the dying man sits up in full strength and reaches for heaven. The young are bound to the lake. They swim and glide on the still water. They dive to the depths, but they do not yet know that the body is in the soul. For this reason, they flap their wings to no avail and skate along the surface of the lake. One day, however, fear will force their bodies up and transform itself into courage, and they will soar. They will themselves into belonging. They hear the flock with one voice as one being, and they raise themselves up. There you go.
I like it. It's I like the fall is coming, and there's a transition from what you know into what you don't know. And that's where you become what you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to leave that pond.
Yes. And I sent you a fantastic conversation that I listened to this morning, and maybe I'll just end on this because.
And I listened to most of it, by the way, and I really enjoyed it.
It was really incredible. He says, so we were talking about changing, and you said to me before we went live that you hope that in 5-6 years you've changed too, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But we can only really change through metanoia, which is repentance.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's because of revelation, right? Something is revealed to us. And suddenly I'm getting really emotional. But anyway, I'm going to try to read this poem by David White.
Right.
Revelation must be terrible with no time left to say goodbye. Imagine that moment, staring at the still waters with only the brief tremor of your body to say you are leaving everything and everyone you know behind. Being far from home is hard, but at least we are exiled together. When you open your eyes to the world, you are on your own for the first time. No one is even interested in saving you now, and the world steps in to test the calm fluidity of your body from moment to moment, as if it believed you could join its vibrant dance of fire and calmness and final stillness. As if you were meant to be exactly where you are, as if, like the dark branch of a desert river, you could flow on without a speck of guilt, and everything, everywhere, would still be just as it should be. As if your place in the world mattered, and the world could neither speak nor hear the fullness of its own bitter and beautiful cry, without the deep well of your body resonating in the echo. Knowing that it takes only that one terrible word to make the circle complete. revelation must be terrible, knowing you can never hide your voice again. So what what he's portraying here in a nutshell is, once you have experienced revelation, you have also experienced metanoia. And I put it in these terms: when that happens, you live in a new heaven and a new earth. Nothing is the same anymore. You're out there for you're taking your first fumbling steps into a whole new world. Okay. That's why he says revelation must be terrible, with no time left to say goodbye to your old self.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
I will start with a prayer. Although we've started, I will continue with a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
O Lord, open the eyes of my heart that I may hear your word and understand and do your will, for I am a sojourner upon the earth. Hide not your commandments from me, but open my eyes, that I may perceive the wonders of your law. Speak unto me the hidden and secret things of your wisdom. On you do I set my hope, O my God, that you shall enlighten my mind and understanding with the light of your knowledge, not only to cherish those things which are written, but to do them. For you are the enlightenment of those who lie in darkness, and from you comes every good deed and every gift. Amen.
Amen.
That was a very appropriate prayer. That fit right in. Okay. Now let me pull up the Heliand.
Yeah.
We are glad you're here. The Heliand, in case you didn't know, the Heliand is a translation of the Gospels. It's kind of it's a synthesis of the four Gospels into an epic poem that was written shortly before Beowulf in the 8th or 9th century. Yeah. And it's beautiful. We're reading a translation of it that is a narrative translation. We are on song 43 or 44. 43. Yeah. Let me pull it up. Stop and share. Where is it? I had it. It will be back soon. There it is. Are we on 43?
43.
Oh, we're on.
It's Christ tells his loyal followers about his future torture and death, the curing of the blind men outside Fort Jericho.
I opened the wrong one. 1 second. Let me. I will not share my screen with the whole world. Hold on.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah, you never know what's going to show up.
Jeremy's tax forms are like.
Not that one. That 43. Oh, that's it. Okay, now we got it. Add to stage. There we go.
Yeah.
Song 43. Christ tells his loyal followers about his torture, his future torture and death, the curing of the blind men outside Fort Jericho. He asked his good followers, the 12, to come closer, they the most loyal men on earth to him, and told them one more time what hardships lay before him. And there can be no doubt about it, he said. He said that, and there could be no doubt about it, he said. He said that they should journey to Jerusalem, to the Jewish people. There, everything will come to pass. It will happen among that people, just as wise men said about me long ago in their words. There, among that powerful people, warrior heroes will sell me to the leaders. My hands will be tied. My outstretched arms will be put in irons.
And the footnote says, by ending this song with this lovely and humane verse, the author betrays his concern for his Saxon latecomers.
That's a
Oh,
different.
sorry.
Yeah.
Patmos urdat mi thor gefasnud is, I'm assuming, okay, that's the phrase. My outstretched arms will be put in irons. By using the ambiguous gefasnud, chained, fastened, for the description of putting Christ's arms in irons, the author manages not only to depict Christ as a prisoner of war, but also to suggest the crucifixion at the same time.
A little poetic double meaning. I will have to endure very much there. I will have to listen to many words of scorn and insult, mockery and threat. They will subject me to unbelievable torture with the weapon's edge. They will take my life. I will rise up from death and come back to this light by the chieftain's power on the third day. I did not come to these people so that the sons of men would have hard labor because of me, that they would do service for me. I will not ask them for that, nor demand it, but rather I will be useful to them. I will humbly do service for them, and for all these people I will give my soul. With my life I will free mankind, the many people who have been waiting for so long for my help. Then he traveled onward. The chieftain's son had a determined mind and a happy heart. He wanted to go to Jerusalem to teach the Jewish people happiness. He was very well aware of their attitude of ill will, grim hatred, and deep hostility. The throng moved on toward Hill Fort Jericho. God's Son was there in the midst of the crowd. 2 men were sitting there by the roadside. Both were blind. They had great need to get better, to be healed by heaven's ruler, for they had long been without light. They had suffered a long time. The 2 men heard the masses of people coming by and soon asked with great curiosity what powerful person was the leader of that group of people. The 2 men, faded to total blindness, asked what man of the nobility was at their head. A warrior hero answered them and said that Jesus Christ from Galilee land, the best of all healers, was the leader and was traveling with his people. Both of the blind men became very joyful minded when they learned that God's Son was among the crowd of people. They called out loudly with their words to the Holy Christ. They begged him to be willing to help them. Chieftain, David's son, be kind and generous to us in your deeds. Save us from this awful condition, just as you do for so many among the human clans. You are good to many people. You help and heal. Then the crowd of warriors began to fend the 2 off with words, saying that they should not yell so loudly at the ruling Christ. The blind men did not want to pay any attention to that, and instead continued to call out more and more loudly over the crowd of people. The healer stood still. The best person ever born commanded them to be brought to him, conducted through the crowd. He spoke to them wisely and kindly in front of the crowd of people. What help do you want to have from me? He said. They asked the Holy One if he would open their eyes for them to this light, so that they would be able to see the comings and goings of people, the radiant sunshine, and the bright, beautiful world. The ruler did it. He touched them with his hands and gave them his help. The eyes of both blind men were opened by the power of God, so that they could recognize earth and sky, light and people. They gave praise to God and reverence to our chieftain for being able to enjoy the light of day. They both set off with him, following his footsteps. The favor they requested was granted to them, and the fame of the ruler's deed was made known widely to many men. Song 44. The author explains the meaning of the cure of the blind. That was a powerful picture that was presented there, where the blind men were sitting by the roadside. They were enduring suffering. They were deprived of the light. What that picture means, though, is this: they are the sons of men, all of mankind. The picture is of how Mighty God himself in the beginning made two, the couple, Adam and Eve. He gave them the road up above, the kingdom of heaven. But then the hateful one, the enemy with his deceptions and deeds of wickedness, came near to them. He tricked them with sin into abandoning the eternally beautiful light. They were thrown out into a much worse place, this middle world. Here, in darkness, they toiled at hard human labor. They had won a journey into exile. They had lost wealth and happiness. They forgot God's kingdom. They were in service to the hateful sons of the enemies.
The enemies. The misery of the human race is described not only with the traditional metaphor of exile, but also with the more military one of being in exile and having human behavior seen as forced labor for the enemy. Not the enemy of the nation, but the enemies of the whole human race. This metaphor is, of course, not such a radical departure from Mediterranean biblical tradition as it may seem. Satan does mean legal adversary or enemy. Yeah. And what's interesting too here is that we live in the middle world.
Yeah.
So there are these two polar opposites, right?
Right.
And humans live in the middle, which is the place of reconciliation, right? Which is that Jesus is described as a mediator, right? To bring healing. So just wanted to.
Right. I was reading today, I looked up the definition of horizon for whatever reason, and it said the line where the earth appears to meet the sky.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really beautiful description of a person as well.
Right.
The line where the earth appears to meet the sky.
That's exactly in the story The Castle, and I included that paragraph in my essay that I read. That's exactly where the woman in the story thinks she sees the Father. It's where the sky meets the tops of the mountains.
Yes.
And she thinks it's from there she sees him coming because they're waiting for the Father. And she turns in a moment of expectation and sees only her brother. Who in the story, it's a big B, capital B brother. He's the brother, she's the sister. And this brother is Christ, is a type of Christ in the story.
Yeah. Beautiful.
It's so beautiful, that part.
Back to the text. They forgot God's kingdom. They were in service to the hateful sons of the enemies. They were paid for their labor with fire in hot hell. Human beings' minds were blind in this middle world, since they never recognized the mighty God, heaven's Lord, who made them with his hands, worked them out according to his will. This world was then so pushed away, forced into darkness, into a hard human toil, into death's valley, that they sat there by the chieftain's road, lamenting, begging God's help. The help could not come to them, however, until ruling God, the mighty chieftain, would send his own son to this middle world to unlock light to the sons of men and to open up eternal life to them, so that they would be able to recognize the mighty all-ruler, God the powerful. I can also tell you...
This is the first place where the author addresses the audience, marking the importance of this story for the meaning of the Heliand. He repeats his direct address again when he finishes the explanation of the story of the cure of the blind men and says, "Listen now, ... Since this sort of speaking to the audience in the epic tradition was omitted at the beginning of the Heliand and first occurs at this moment, one is particularly touched at this point to have the author say "you" to the reader-hearer. Not only must the author feel that this incident depicts movingly the human condition, but aesthetically, light itself is what the author used to generate the inclusio, or frame structure, of the whole story, from the shining light of Christmas to the light of the resurrection, with the beaming light of the transfiguration at the center. In addition, light occurs throughout the narrative, especially since the author favors using the word for light for world. What story in the whole gospel could have been more moving to him as he thought of himself and his Saxons and his epic than the scene of two by the roadside begging to be able to see the light. Wow.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
I actually really like that he's opening up that this is an allegory and helping his people to see the light of the scriptures as well, right? Where he's showing this is how it works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can also tell you, if you are willing to listen and think, so that you will recognize the healer's power, how his coming was a help to many, what many things the chieftain himself meant by these actions, and why the great hill fort in Judea, built with walls, is called Jericho. It is named after the moon, after that bright luminary which can never avoid its phases, times.
TD, times, here also phases. This is the strong pre-Christian element in the Heliand in its astronomical form. Time is irreversible above divinities. The moon must go through its phases. It is curious that the plural is used not only here, but also at the wedding feast of Cana, where Christ also is made to say, "My times have not yet come." Mm. Mm.
It is named after the moon, after that bright luminary which can never avoid its phases, times. Thus, every day it is either waning or waxing. That is what human beings do in this world, the middle realm. The sons of mankind come and go in sequence. The old die, and the young who come after will wax older until fate takes them away.
That word is urt, fate, becoming.
Yeah, until becoming takes them away. Oh,
Yeah.
that's very beautiful too.
Oh my goodness. There's a lot
That
of
is.
theology in there.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What?
Like you said last week, there's a lot of theology in there.
Yeah. It's packed in here. It's beautiful.
So amazing.
That is what God's Son meant as the good one traveled on, leaving the hill fort of Jericho. He meant that the blindness of human beings could never be cured, so that they could see the bright, infinitely beautiful light until he himself took on human nature, flesh and body here in this middle world. The sons of men became aware of this in this world. Those who previously in punishment had been sitting here in sin, deprived of sight, enduring in the darkness, realized that the healer had come to help these people. Christ, the best of all kings, had come from heaven's kingdom. They were immediately able to recognize his footsteps.
This verse shows the complexity of the author's thought. In the actual story he has just related, the blind men have to ask who the leader of the throng is. They do not, in the manner of blind people, recognize his footsteps. This touching verse, therefore, is not just a moving allusion to how the blind, quote unquote, see, but also a deeply pertinent allusion to Genesis 3:8, where Adam and Eve, after they have sinned without seeing him, hear the sound of God's footsteps as he walks in the garden in the cool of the evening.
They were immediately able to recognize his footsteps. Those men then called out so much to the mighty God that the ruler felt kindly disposed because of it. But then the very serious sins which they themselves had committed held them off, prevented belief. Still, these sins could not hold off the two people from what they wanted. And so they called out loudly to the ruling. What was that? Okay, sorry. So they called out loudly to the ruling God until he cured them. Then they could see unending life, eternal light open to them, and could journey on to the bright shining home. That is what the blind men signify who were calling out loudly to the Son of God there by Fort Jericho to grant them light in this life by a cure. Then the great number of people who were fending them off with their words, those who were traveling along the road ahead and behind, they represent what wicked sins do to mankind in this middle world. Listen now to what the blind did once they were cured and could see the sunlight. They decided to set off together with their chieftain. They followed his footsteps and spoke many words of praise for the land's herdsman. This the sons of men still do all over this wide world. Once ruling, Christ has enlightened them with his teachings and given eternal life to them, God's kingdom, the high heavenly light, and his help to reach it, to good men, to anyone whose actions show that he would like to follow his road. That ties in directly with what you read about Revelation, that the poem Revelation, about, and what you were talking about the transformation, and how once you've been transformed, then you can't, then you have to, then you, everything changes.
Yeah, you have to say goodbye to everything that came before.
Yeah.
I mean, from David White's perspective, right? Like, that's why he says it's so terrible,
Yeah.
because you don't even have time to say goodbye.
Yeah. Well, the two blind men didn't, right? It's not like
Yeah.
they went, it's like, hey, let me go get my stuff. I'll be right
Yeah.
back. Let me go get my, I gotta go pack a bag. You know,
Yeah,
or I
let
gotta
me
go
say,
say goodbye. And
I got to say goodbye to the life I had as a blind man.
yeah, you
Like,
gotta write a will.
and everything, yeah, and everything after that, it as a sighted man is completely different. They've
Yeah,
never had that world.
right.
They've never experienced that world. They, in order to know it, they would have to close their eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah. Right.
It's intense. Yeah, it's true. That's true. It goes well with that poem. I'm always really curious to see how, we have these little ramblings in the beginning, and
Mhm.
I'm always really curious to see how they feed back into, or vice versa, the Heliand.
Yes.
It's so interesting.
Yeah. This weaves right into what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Song 45. Christ enters Fort Jerusalem and foretells its fate. Then Christ, the rescuer, the Holy One, came near to Jerusalem. Many people of goodwill there were glad to come and meet him. They received him with honor, and they strewed the road before him with their clothes and with plants, with bright flowers, and with tree branches from the beautiful palms, covering the earth of the entire path that God's Son wanted to make to the famous hill fort. The crowd of people surrounded him happily, and in their joy they started singing a song of praise.
Ahof is literally means lifted up. This verb, ahebian, that's interesting because it's not that different in German. It's abheben would be to lift up,
Hmm.
or aufheben, actually. Sorry, means to lift up one's voice in song, to begin to sing. It is significant that this is the same verb used in the first song of the Heliand in reference to the four evangelists. Their task from God was described as that sea skolden. That, okay, this is I'm now reading Saxon, okay. That se skolden ahebian heligaro stemnun godspell that gooda. Quote, that they should begin to sing in tone the good Godspell with their voices. That is the task to the four evangelists
Mm.
from the Heliand. It is, of course, also the very task the Heliand's author set himself. Wow. This is,
Mm.
talk about nested dolls.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, and it reminded me, just in the previous song when they were talking about the blind men, that was what they did. They started following after Christ and singing his
Right.
praises. Right. So,
Yeah. Beautiful.
okay. They thanked the ruler that David's wise son had himself come there to their people. Then Christ the good, the ruler, looked at Jerusalem. The best of men looked at the hill's fort wall and at the dwellings of the Jews, the high horned walls, and at God's house, the most beautiful of all shrines. At that moment, inside him, his thoughts welled up against his heart.
More prosaically, what he knew, and then in parentheses about the future, came into conflict with what he loved.
Mm. At that moment, inside him, his thoughts welled up against his heart. The holy child could not prevent himself from weeping. Then, in sadness, he spoke many words of regret. His mind was in pain. Woe to you, Jerusalem, he said, that you truly do not know the workings of fate which are going to happen to you in the future.
In this powerful verse and in the following discourse, Christ acts both as soothsayer and as God, aware of what fate will do. The word for fate used here, Wurd, is reinforced by a double repetition of its verb of origin, werden, to become, to happen. In the verse, giving the utterance a strong ritual character. The adverb no, yet, or still, is also repeated, giving it a strength that indicates that this fate is coming unalterably toward the city. So in Saxon, it would be Thea urdiskefti, the no giurden schulen, huo thu no uerdis behabt heres kraftu. The workings of fate, which are going to happen to you in the future, how you will be surrounded by a powerful army.
How you will be surrounded by a powerful army and besieged by cruel-minded men, the enemy forces. Then you will never more have peace or protection among men. Against you they will bring many spear points and sword blades, the words of war.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Orlegas urd, words of war, fate. This is a particularly sinister expression, since the word for war here, orleg or orlog, also means fate or doom, combined with the author's brilliant touch suggesting that the spear points and sword blades are the words of war. The author presents us with the remarkable poetic realization that even warfare has magic words, performative words, which, when properly quote unquote spoken, produce by themselves their fatal effect. Wow.
Mm. Your population will be devoured by the flames of the fire. They will devastate these villages. They will bring these high walls to the ground. Not a rock will stand upright, no stone on top of another. And these settlements around Jerusalem will become a wasteland of the Jewish people because they do not recognize that their future has come to them.
Okay, their future. Tidi towardes. We know that word in English, toward, right?
Mm-hmm.
Future times. This is a more fate-oriented description than in the New Testament, where Jerusalem is described as being unaware of her time, or of the time of her visitation. The plural tidi, times, is also the form used in the Heliand, when Christ replied to his mother at the wedding feast of Cana, "My times have not yet come." Jerusalem has missed her future.
The translator is quite poetic in himself.
He's really into it.
Yeah.
Totally into it.
Moreover, their minds are in doubt. They do not know that the ruler's power is visiting them. The chieftain of human beings then set off with the crowd for the bright shining hill fort.
There is no mention of the jackass or the foal of the donkey on which Jesus rides into Jerusalem in the New Testament. Presumably, there was a gentle allusion to Jewish kingship in Scripture. Allusion to Jewish kingship in Scripture would have meant something altogether different to Saxon warriors' sense of humor. Oh, okay. If he was riding on an ass.
As soon as God's son went inside Jerusalem with the throng of people, he was walking with his warrior companions. The greatest of all songs began. Loud voices began singing holy words as many people praised the country's guardian, the best person ever born. The fort was in an uproar. Its people began to be afraid and soon asked who that was who was coming there with the people, with that mighty throng. Someone answered them and said that it was Jesus Christ from Galilee land, the rescuer from Fort Nazareth, the wise soothsayer who was coming to help the people. It made the Jews who had been hostile to him before think unkind thoughts and feel painful emotions to see that the people were singing so many songs of praise to him, glorifying their chieftain. In a furious mood, they went to have words with the ruling Christ. They asked him to tell his warrior companions to be silent and not to let the people praise him so much with their words. It is loathsome to these people, they said, to the hill fort people. The Son of God replied, if you interfere with them, he said, not permitting the sons of men ever to glorify the ruler's power here with their words, then the hard rocks and solid boulders would shout it out before the people. It could never be acceptable that his praise is not to be spoken anywhere in this world. Wow, that's a great sentence. Then he went into the holy shrine, the house of God. There he found many Jews, a different kind of people, gathered. They had chosen this site as their business place. They were buying and selling all manner of things. Money lenders were sitting inside the shrine. Every day they had their loan money ready to give. That was completely repulsive to God's Son. He drove them out of there, away from the shrine. He said it would be a much better thing for the sons of Israel to come there to pray, to ask for help in my house, to ask that the victorious chieftain take away their sins, rather than to come here to a legal assembly of thieves, the perverted people who practice usury and plain injustice.
So the legal assembly, it's Thingstädel, assembly place. The humor here is that the Germanic thing is the official lawmaking assembly, the opposite of any criminal assembly.
There was the other footnote I read too as well. I'll read the sentence again. My house, to ask for. Oops, sorry. He said it would be a much better thing for the sons of Israel to come here to pray, come there to pray,
Oh,
to
yeah.
ask for help in my house, to ask for help in my house, to ask that the victorious chieftain take away their sins, rather than to come here to a legal assembly of thieves, the perverted people who practice usury, plain injustice.
So medieval Christian law and custom forbade Christians from taking interest on loans, thus, as a side effect, making borrowing money difficult. Jews, however, were legitimately able to practice usury, to take interest on a loan, and were thus both needed by Christians and, as is obvious from the text, despised by them, for a practice that a Christian normally initiated.
You Jewish people never show any respect for the house of God. Thus the powerful chieftain cleaned out the shrine, the holy house. There he was, there he was a help to many of mankind who had heard tell of his great power far away and had come traveling over long roads. Many of the weak and crippled were healed at the shrine. Many of those whose hands were hurt and the blind were cured. God's Son did that for the people who wished it, since everything that concerns these people's lives and lands is under his authority.
Oh, I didn't finish reading that last thing.
Oh,
I thought that was the new
yeah,
footnote.
no, I'm with you. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just finish it. So this is about borrowing money. In the biblical accounts of this scene in the temple, see, for example, Matthew 21:12-17, Christ's anger is over buying and selling in the temple, but there is no specific mention of usury, nor any description of the practice of as unrecht enfald, plain injustice. The Heliand author has brought the incident, by introducing the condemnation of usury, into close contact with the actual, if contorted, feelings of his own times. Usury in modern usage, of course, has come to mean charging excessive interest.
Yeah, that was a fatal shift in definition. Speaking of definitions that change over time.
Okay, so we've been going for an hour here, Jeremy, and you
Oh, wow.
sound like you need a break.
Oh,
So do we want
okay.
to drop a link?
Sure.
And And then I'll drop the link.
Okay. Somebody wants to join us. We have.
I don't know if anybody's here. Nobody said hello. Is anybody?
I
here?
know.
Hello?
It says we have 5 people watching.
Yeah, but you're streaming to Twitter too, right?
I am. Yeah.
So I don't know if they're on YouTube or not.
Don't know. If you are and you want to join us, you're welcome to be brave and turn. You don't even have to turn your camera on if you don't want to. You can just come and talk to us. That's
Unless, of course, you haven't. If you've been here before and we know you.
Oh, yes.
There's a thing, Jeremy. You gotta
You're
be
right.
that.
Yep. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, you can show us your face down below, and then we can put you on the camera. We can do that.
Yes.
As long as we know who you are.
Yeah.
I've made the fatal mistake. Won't do it again.
Right.
Oh. Well, that was fantastic. That was really, really, really good. You know, there was another David Whyte poem. If you don't mind, I wouldn't mind reading it because was it last week or the week before that we did the story of Peter walking on the water?
Yes. Last week, I believe.
Last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he mentions that here in this poem. And I'm just, I hope I can get through it without crying. I think I can. But while he was reading it, I just broke down and had a big weep. It was pretty good, actually. He says, "There is a faith in loving fiercely the one who is rightfully yours, especially if you have waited years, and especially if part of you never believed you could deserve this loved and beckoning hand held out to you this way. I am thinking of faith now, and the testaments of loneliness, and what we feel we are worthy of in this world. Years ago in the Hebrides, I remember an old man who walked every morning on the gray stones to the shore of the baying seals, who would press his hat to his chest in the blustering salt wind and say his prayer to the turbulent Jesus hidden in the water. And I think of the story of the storm, and everyone waking and seeing the distant yet familiar figure far across the water calling to them, and how we are all preparing for that abrupt waking and that calling and that moment. The moment we have to say yes, except it will not come so grandly, so biblically, but more subtly and intimately in the face of the one you know you have to love. So that when we finally step out of the boat toward them, we find everything holds us and confirms our courage. And if you wanted to drown, you could, but you don't. Because finally, after all the struggle and all the years, and you don't want to anymore, you've simply had enough of drowning. And you want to live, and you want to love, and you will walk across any territory and any darkness, however fluid and however dangerous, to take the one hand you know belongs in yours." I wanted to share that one with you because Peter, and I loved the way he framed it.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah, no, it's I was talking with my wife about this earlier today, about this. You know, I really loved poetry when I was young, and then I don't know what happened. A lot of things happened, and I started thinking like a computer, and I started thinking that people were computers, and I started trying to understand the program that runs people, so that I could debug it.
Yeah.
And reprogram it. And I lost connection to poetry for a very long time. And And it's only been in the last few years that that's been rehabilitated, where now it's like I got out of that. Well, the rest of my mind, or the rest of my way of seeing the world, was healed and is being healed. And all of the, what I'm realizing is that I was so focused on what could be counted and what could be seen and what could be measured. And then I thought that was all reality was. And I was like when I was reading the story of the blind men today, I was seeing myself there sitting in the darkness, and realizing that, one of the phrases in the Heliand was they wanted to see the comings and goings of men.
Right.
And I couldn't see it either, because I had been so focused on what can be measured, and the comings and goings of men doesn't fit into a spreadsheet.
Right.
It can't be measured. And everything that's meaningful about being a human is a relationship, and can only be seen through relationships, and only and measured. Relationships can't be measured either. They can't even really be talked about, and especially not understood. And through this journey back to Christ, and through the Heliand, and through other poetry I've been reading, and through the liturgy and the scriptures and the Psalms, I'm being restored as a person, as a human. And I still can act like a computer. I still make spreadsheets and reports and data for a living. I take a bunch of meaningless data and I synthesize it and put it together and make a pretty chart trying to reveal patterns to people. But it's a very low form of poetry. It's a very it's a very technical form of poetry, but in that, but I'm the deeper part and more meaningful part of being human is being restored to me, and it's being revealed, and I'm able to see it now. And 5 years ago, I couldn't see it. I didn't know what it meant to be a person. I didn't know what a person was. And I definitely didn't know what it meant to be in a relationship with anyone.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's a lot. That's big.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a very transactional view of the world. I was in a very low place.
Right.
This poison of like evolutionary psychology, which is just bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just bullshit to justify being degenerate.
Well, not only that, but it diminishes our ancestors because come on.
Right.
Come on. They can't even reproduce some of the paintings in those caves in France.
Right.
Prehistoric,
Oh yeah.
But and they don't even know how they made the dyes that lasted for 10,000 years. Okay.
Right.
And they're still calling them primitive.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull up a picture here. I sent it to my family earlier this week. Let me share it real quick. Let me zoom in a little bit more. That's as big as it gets. Yeah. So, someone put this on Twitter, and they said this was built in the quote unquote dark ages
I know.
by your ancestors.
I saw it on Substack. Must have been the same guy. Maybe he has a Twitter account.
Probably, yeah. He just said
Yeah.
this was built during the dark ages by your ancestors.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I have never fallen for that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't believe that animals were stupid, and I never believed humans were stupid. And I would duke it out with just about anybody, but only on, my experiential knowledge, right? I didn't have any. I'm not a anthropologist or a biologist or anything. But about poetry, what's interesting, McGilchrist talks about relation and how relation is primary. What does he call it? Relato or relato?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was listening to an interesting conversation he had recently with a young guy, and he was saying that because I've always had a sense that the thing that's most important is the in between, like we talked about at the beginning, where the
Yes.
sky meets the earth, right? It's that
Yes.
in between place. That is relatio, okay?
Yes.
So that is relation is the in between. And he was saying, I'm not going to quote him directly because I don't remember exactly what he said, but something along the lines that is where everything actually happens.
Yes.
And so what poetry does is it reveals the relations that things have to each other, that we have to the world, that the world has to us, right?
Yes.
And because we've stopped looking for at the in between, and we've turned everything into objective and subjective,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
David White was saying today that when people aren't used to poetry and they hear it for the first time, he said it's kind of like when you launch a ship and it hits the water.
Mm.
And that first moment when it hits the water, this huge wave just swamps the bow, right?
Yeah.
He said that's what it's like for people when they're just first entering in to
That's
poetry,
true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the liturgy is poetry because, like, I
Yes.
read you this thing from the Theotokos. What did it say? I don't want to misquote it. In giving birth, you preserved your virginity. That's not a propositional statement. That
Right.
is poetry. And it's revealing, or its desire is to reveal relations,
Yes.
right? The in between place. So, and yeah, I won't say any more than that.
Yeah. There's it reminds me of a river, and I was showing that to my daughter. We were fishing, and I was showing her kind of where we were fishing for trout, and that's the fish I know best. And so I was showing her how to read a river, and where the fish like to be. And, I remember when I was young, over and over again, people would tell me, if you want to catch a fish, you have to think like a fish.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, I took that, I took it really literally. So I was just like trying to so it actually became like a Zen cone for me. It was like a way of meditating for me, because it was like I just was trying to have fish
What do
thought.
fish think about?
I was out, what do fish think? What would it be like to be a fish? I'll just see
I
if I
mean,
can
the first thing, just to have fun with this a bit, the first thing that would come to my mind is they would be thinking about oxygen.
Yeah.
where do I get the most oxygen? That's actually true.
Yeah. Well, there's a mixture, right? Because this is what I was showing my daughter. It depends on what time of day it is too. So in the heat of the day, the trout do not like the sun. So they want to be up under the bank, and that's actually like when you're walking in a stream. Here's a little survival tip for you. If you're in a mountain stream and you walk down the stream, you'll see fish like, afraid of you, and they go, where do they go? They go under the bank. Now, when you reach up under the bank,
you can grab them.
They don't know where else to go because that's the safe place.
Right.
They're in the safe place. Well, that means you can reach under there, and if you kind of, like, you can't see my hand, but if you kind of tickle underneath their belly, they kind of, I don't know what it does. It kind of paralyzes them a little bit, and then you stick your thumb in their gill and just grab them real quick, and you can catch a fish with your hands. And I didn't think that was true, but I've done it many, many times. And in a survival situation, you don't need a fishing pole. You don't need you just walk down the creek. Sorry. In Utah, we say creek. Yeah. So you walk down the creek and the fish scatter and they go up under the bank, and you reach up under there and you can grab it. And most fish are safe. Like when you just catch it like that, you're pretty safe eating it raw.
Right.
Just don't eat the guts. But anyway, so I was showing her, you have to, but in the morning, what they like to do is they don't want to swim really hard. They don't want to work really hard, but where the water's moving fast is the most chance of you getting food. And like when it spills over rocks, it stirs up the things that they eat, which are those little insects and the stuff that lives under the rocks and worms and anything gets stirred up by that roil. So what they'll do is they'll just sit in the still water that's behind a large rock where the fast water is right next to them. And it's nice and oxygen rich right there too, because the water is backing around and coming back. It's circling around right there. So it's in this backwater eddy, and they just stay right on the edge of that. They stay right on the edge of the fast water and the slow water. Mm-hmm. And that's where life is, right? Life is right there. That's where life's happening. Yeah. And there are times where you're scared and you have to go up under the bank. And there are times where you see food and you need to go out into the fast water and get it. But most of life, you live right there waiting. Yeah. And it's that same dynamic. It's that same, it's expectant watching, expectant waiting. Mm-hmm. That to me, I think, is the default human state that we have almost completely lost in our modern life. Yeah. And I've mentioned this before, but I have my neighbor across the street is a Mexican family, and the grandfather is from Mexico. He speaks zero English. Yeah. So we use Google Translate to talk to each other sometimes. Yeah. But what I've seen and what I've learned from him is how inhuman I am. And what I mean by that is I see that he has this steel folding chair that sits in the garage. He goes out there and he has a canary next to him sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he puts a record on, usually he doesn't. Most of the time he's sitting in the chair. That's it. He's not reading, he's not on his phone, he's not listening to anything most of the time. Most of the time he's sitting in the chair. Wow. And you walk out and he'll wave, and I bring him a beer, and then sometimes he'll bring me a beer. Mm-hmm. And that's it. But most of his day is spent sitting. And I just don't know anyone else like that anymore. Right. Not here. Yeah. You see that in other places. I've traveled a lot. I've seen it in other countries, but here, it's that expectant watchfulness where your mind just kind of goes smooth. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. and you're ready and you can respond and you can react if something happens, but most of the time nothing's happening.
You know, that's just kind of bringing that part of that poem to my mind here, which made me cry, because I mean, I kind of alluded to something like this in my essay, where he says here, so that when we finally step out of the boat towards them, we find that everything holds us, right? And confirms our courage. And if you wanted to drown, you could, but you don't, because finally, after all the struggle and all the years, you don't want to anymore. You've simply had enough of drowning. And you want to live. And you want to love. And you will walk across any territory and any darkness, however fluid and however dangerous, to take the one hand you know belongs in yours. Like I'm seriously at that point in my life now, Jeremy, where I'm like, the way I put it in my essay was, you get too old, age makes you tired, is what I said.
Yes.
Tired of the fight.
Right.
And I just want to love.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Because in that I live.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that a man sitting in a chair without his phone, without distraction, loves his life. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Unless, of course, he's in a deep depression, he's in a darkened room, but apparently he's not.
No, he's not. No,
He's waving, he's watching the street,
he's smiling, and we exchange food all the time. Yeah. And he's kind of the neighborhood elder, you know. He kind of,
he's taking in his environment, the people.
Yeah. Right.
That gives him life. You know, like, I'm sure in Mexico, there's a lot of people sitting around. You know,
Yes.
when you're describing it, I'm thinking of Italy. Like, Italy's like that, right? Where you got all the old people sitting around, just sitting there all day long.
Yeah.
All day long. But they're surrounded by little kids and young
Right.
people and lovers and people having fights, and they just love it. They suck it up.
Yeah.
Because it's what keeps them alive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What came to mind was this. There was a conversation today I saw about this. One guy was saying, man, I wish they had, he was talking about Catholic Mass. He was saying, I wish they had a place, at least like once a month, where the kids would go downstairs and all the babies would go downstairs, so that you could like pray, contemplate in silence. Right. And he caught a lot of flack for it. And I think justly so. I think rightly so, because I do believe that, I do agree that there's different kinds of prayer. There's a public prayer and a private prayer, but that time for contemplation in front of the icons is at home in your icon corner, in my opinion. And when you're praying publicly, you're there offering it up. And now it's a little different in Roman Catholicism, because they don't commune their little ones. But for us, the babies are receiving Eucharist. The little ones are there for the same reason you are,
right,
to be healed by that medicine.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of what you're saying too, where those sounds are what keep the old people alive.
Yeah.
Those sounds of babies crying, at least for me as a parent, my daughter's leaving for college in less than 2 weeks. And I, those sounds of the babies who are upset, I feel instant empathy for the parents.
Right.
And I also feel an empathy for the child, because they're just saying what we're all feeling.
Yeah.
And then, but it also reminds me of when I was a parent of a young child and felt like I was imposing or felt like I needed to usher my child out as quickly as possible. And it's like, you don't. I mean, obviously, if the kid's losing it, and most people at our church are really good about,
Oh yeah.
Getting the kids into the hallway. But if a kid is just having a hard time or just, upset
Having
or
a moment.
uncomfortable, yeah, or having a moment, it's like, I think it's part of learning to pray is learning to pray as a body,
Yes.
and not all of your body is participating in the prayer.
That's right. Sometimes your back hurts. Sometimes
Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes you're hungry, or sometimes you're thinking about what you're going to do after prayer, and sometimes
Yeah.
you don't want to be there, and some parts of you are complaining.
Yeah.
But you stand there as a body,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's you as a person or you with a group of
Parish.
people in a body.
Yeah, it's funny because the third and last liturgy that I was ever at, that was his homily. He gave a homily on don't be annoyed by the children.
Yeah.
This is where it starts.
Yes.
Centering your attention, right? Learning to give things attention, and how there's always going to be distractions in your life, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, and I too, like, as a grandmother and, having had my own kids and they're gone, when I hear children now, my heart wells up. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know, and the parents are always looking at me going, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I love
I
it.
know.
Leave it. It's
Fine.
fine.
Yeah,
You
it's fine.
know,
Yeah.
but there are some grumpy folks out there, they get grumpy when kids cry. And
Yeah.
the priest that was giving the homily, he just said, "Suck it up, Buttercup." You know, you
Yeah.
don't have any right to be grumpy. Yeah, it was really good. I love the way it became like you just illustrated. About it's not just it's not just the body of Christ, as in the community of believers, but it's also your body, right? It's also the world. It's
Yeah.
it's nested.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nestedness.
Yeah. Well, and it's good for you to learn how to focus, even when, because the babies are upset, but you can still focus on prayer. You can still focus on what's happening at the altar. You can still, you don't have to let go of your attention. You don't have to move your attention. Right.
Mhm.
And I think there's a lot of value in that. There's a lot of value in learning how to do that,
Well,
learning how to
think
pray in spite of that.
right. And here's the other thing. This is what I've often done in these situations, and not just in liturgies, because I haven't been to very many liturgies, but anywhere where I hear children, is I imagine a world without that sound, and that
Right.
terrifies me.
Yes.
Okay? Because
Yeah.
we're talking, this is life, people. Like, this is
Right.
actual life. Like, this is how we live on. This is the world to come, those children. They are the world to come, you know?
Right. Yes. Well, and you also you don't want church to be associated with like the tyranny of order either, right?
No. Yeah.
Because if you go to a hospital, sometimes you'll hear people not doing well, right?
Yeah.
Whatever sound they may be making, and it's, I mean, it's like shushing someone who's in labor. Like it's kind of like
Not a good idea.
no, it's like, what are you talking about, right? That's how I feel about church. It's like, you
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, it probably helps that I grew up in a large family, so like those sounds don't bother me.
That would
Like
help.
I learned how to do homework with TV going and kids and music and my sister on the phone and whatever. I got to do my homework.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, we have not had a single comment. I don't even know if it's working. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I looked on YouTube, it's there, but it's like we haven't heard from anybody tonight.
Yeah. Well, maybe all our regular viewers are on holidays.
Well, yeah, that and it is Dormition, so they're doing the Paracleses service every night in
Oh,
most parishes. So I chose not to go. I chose to come here, but because we're going to some other services later this week. But
okay.
but that could be too. Maybe I pray everyone's at Paracleses right now. So I'll send you those prayers, by the way, if no
I
one
would love
has.
that. I would love that, actually.
Yeah, these are the prayers we pray every night to Theotokos, and they usually have a service, where the priest is singing it and then the readers are singing with them. But
Okay.
it's very beautiful, and
Well, it says that 2 are watching
oh,
on
it's
YouTube.
working. Just listening. Okay, great. Glory to God.
But that is that us? No, that's not us, right? We're not
Cool.
watching.
No, we're not watching.
Okay. Oh,
So
look,
some people are watching on Twitter.
it's working. Okay, thank you so much.
Good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and on Twitter, I don't think people can comment. So
No, they can't.
It's just for people on YouTube.
Yeah.
So most of our listeners must be on Twitter.
Yeah. All good. Well, it's like last week I said, this is the final countdown for holidays anyway. If you've
What
got
do you mean?
school kids,
Oh, yeah.
right? Because when
Yeah.
does school start in the States?
Depends. Usually like third week of August. Some schools do it like right after Labor Day, but our school district is like August 18th.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Ours is always the first week of September.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like basically a lot of schools do that here where it's just after Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
And then my daughter, we're moving her not this weekend but next weekend.
For some reason I thought she was already gone, Jeremy.
No,
So,
not
that's
yet.
coming. No,
it's coming.
that's coming.
Yeah.
How far away will she be?
Not far. It's nice. It's like an hour and 15 minutes or so.
Oh, good.
So it's close enough we can help if we need to, but far enough away where she can breathe, It's good.
Well, my daughter they just got, everything is done now. The transfer, the deed is in their hands. They can go onto their property. And she sent a bunch of photos. She's very, very, like, now it starts. Now they're going to literally be carving out. Like, I think they bought themselves a weed whacker so they can get their driveway cleared, like a heavy duty one. So get their driveway cleared so they can drive in, and then I think they're setting up a camp.
Fun.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fun. What a project.
They're on an adventure.
Yeah, just building your whole life from scratch, basically. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. But they're so far away, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Your daughter's an hour and a half. How come? So unfair. I just don't understand.
Well, yeah, but you're probably better at being close to your daughter in prayer than I am. I'm still stuck in the physical.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you'll be praying for her. Believe me.
Yeah. That already started.
I think it's worse for dads.
Yeah.
I won't say why, but I just think men, dads.
Because I know men.
Yeah.
I know young men. I was a young man.
Dads and daughters, that's a tough one.
But thankfully, my daughter's pretty sharp and she's very intuitive and very, she's very attentive and very self-aware. And I think she's just going to be just great. I have peace in my heart over it. Obviously, I'm excited for her and a little nervous at the same time. But
Yeah.
but she's ready to walk alone for a little while. It'll be good.
She
I
totally
think she'll
needs
be just
to.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You know, it was interesting listening to David White today because he was talking about, you know, as a father, when you see that infant in the crib, you kind of do the nothing is going to happen to you on my watch. That's what he said, right?
yeah,
That
yeah,
tiny baby, and you say that, right?
right,
But you can't say that when they're 14, 15 anymore. That's just because now
right.
you're strangling them.
Yes.
And he was talking about well, actually, the guy that was interviewing him said, you know, it's funny, but it seems like all poetry is about love. I think he said that. David White said that once. It's all about love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then David White said, it's not just about love, it's also about brokenheartedness, because that's what love will do to you. It will break your heart.
Yes. Yes.
And then he
Yes.
gave the example of the father with the child, right? And when you have to
Yes.
let them go.
Yes.
And he never used the word kenotic, but that's what I kept thinking about. That's kenosis. That's what the Theotokos had to experience.
Right.
That's what Christ experienced on the cross, right?
Right.
And that's like David White said, that's your guarantee in life. That's it. Your guarantee is that you will be brokenhearted because of love.
Yes.
But I as a Christian, I would say, yes, you feel excuse me, I feel sad about my children being so far away. There she is.
Yeah.
But I can't hoard them to
Right.
myself, right?
Right. Right.
Um, it's really a difficult place to be. You
Yeah.
know, my mother always says getting old is not for sissies. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Well, you know, just watching her grow up has healed me in so many ways. She healed my view of the feminine
Awesome. Good job,
and
Lily.
and revealed to me the beauty of the mystery of the feminine
Mm,
and brought back that sense of wonder.
that's great, Jeremy.
And I know she's going to do just great.
Yeah. Well, if she did that, she's a smart cookie. That's all I can say. Not that she convinced you of something that isn't true, but that she's being that which she's supposed to be. That's that line that I read about the geese. So that thing that I wrote, it was a family of geese that I've been watching since they were like this.
Yeah.
And they flew in today or the day that morning. I saw them coming in. And I'm like, oh my God, they're flying, you know?
Yeah.
Like your daughter, you
Yeah.
know? But I said, they've never done anything they were not made to do. They have fulfilled their reason to be, and in doing this, they have filled me full. That's what your daughter's doing. You know?
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't wait to meet her. I hope I get to meet her one day.
I hope so too. I
Yeah.
hope so too. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wonderful. Well, do we want to sign off? I have a feeling
Sure.
we're good.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm grateful for this this ritual that we have of reading the Heliand.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna really.
I love the Heliand, but I have to say there's a part of me that misses the lives of the saints.
Oh yeah.
Sharing that, yeah, for sure.
I was thinking about
I
that too, actually.
really, yeah. I like this. It's very good. Don't get me wrong, but I am definitely looking forward to being able to explore that again because
Being nourished by them.
yeah, it's that same feeling you were talking about where you're watching the ship launch and the wave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's you see these lives and you. It's strange because when I first started reading Lives of the Saints, and it's so funny because I chose one of the most mythological saints, or he chose me, I should say, Saint George, and I had a hard time buying the whole thing, right? Like at the beginning, that was my left brain, computer brain thinking of like these stories and trying to make sense of it.
I still have that problem. But the lives of the saints is fixing it.
Yeah. Yeah, same. Right, same. And I'm grateful that I have St. George, right? I'm grateful because I read his life and it's you can't figure it out. You'll never figure it out.
Mm-mm.
But it's always pointing at very, very deep and meaningful and real things. And like I said, I was taken in by the story of a young, dashing, beautiful man who was riding his horse and saw a princess in distress and didn't know anything about what was going on and crossed himself and fought the dragon and killed the dragon, and they subdued it together.
Yeah.
Depending on the account, but she took off her belt and threw it to him, and he wrapped it around the dragon, and they brought it back to the village. In some accounts, he killed it right there. Other accounts, they brought it back to the village, and the village people were so afraid, and so then he killed it, so that they could also see that it was dead. And then so and then a spring started in that space, and they built a church there.
Right.
And I was so taken in by that story, even though it was so beyond anything I could make sense of at that time in my life. But the pattern, like I said, where my wife's name means princess in Persian, I was like, well, that's the guy. That's what I got to do. I have to slay the dragon, right?
Yeah.
And being exposed to these kind of mythological patterns and narratives is so much more rich and meaningful than building hierarchies of categories for financial data.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although not unrelated.
No, because everything is related.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It is like this is the one thing about Pavel Florensky that I'm finding so fascinating because he opens every chapter with this real poetic, like it's prose, but it's poetically written, contemplative opening, dearest friend, and he talks about the leaves falling and his own heart falling at the absence of his friend. And I have a feeling it might have been Bulgakov actually when he left. But and then he just launches into some kind of like freaking calculus because he was an engineer.
Right.
But he sees it all related.
Yes.
Or some deep philosophical, I is not I equals, thou or something. And then he turns it into A squared. And I'm like, oh God, do I have to follow this? So I'm just kind of like letting my eyes swim across the surface of this little ocean of things,
Yeah.
And I know I'm not really getting it all, but it doesn't matter to me.
Right.
Because all of a sudden it starts to tie in. Yes.
Yeah.
It's dinner time, say.
Oh.
Hear me, I'm hungry.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that looks like a dog you better listen to. It's a big dog.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. It's really quite amazing. You know what? I got to share one other small quote. Just wait. Let me share a quote, Masita. Okay. Where did I put the book? No. Where did I put it? Just give me a second. Oh, here it is. Come. Here go out. So I'm reading this book here, Crossing Unmarked Snow. And it's Poets on Poetry. And it's Views on the Writer's Vocation by William Stafford. Are you familiar with him as a poet?
No.
He was born in 1914. He died in 1993. And I think he was from Michigan, but I'm not entirely sure. But, well, it's from the University of Michigan. So I'm pretty sure he was from Michigan. But I just wanted to read you a couple of things here. There's some just loose quotes of his. He says, for a real writer, there are three main ways: morning, afternoon, and night. That's how you write. Those are the ways: morning, afternoon, and night. This is really good. And of course, he's talking about writing, but he's also talking about other things. Each poem is a miracle that has been invited to happen. Now, David Whyte talks about this all the time. He calls it the invitation, right? You get an invitation from the world.
Mm-hmm.
But these words, after they come, you look at what's there. Why these? Why not some calculated, careful contenders? Because these chosen ones must survive as they were made, by the reckless impulse of a fallible but susceptible person. I must be willingly fallible in order to deserve a place in the realm where miracles happen. Yeah, and then there's one more that I just want to read because I think you'll really like this one. You might know it already. It's pretty famous. The things you do not have to say make you rich. Saying things you do not have to say weakens your talk. Hearing things you do not need to hear dulls your hearing. And things you know before you hear them, those are you. Those are why you are in the world. Should I read it again?
Yes.
The things you do not have to say make you rich. Saying things you do not have to say weakens your talk. Hearing things you do not need to hear dulls your hearing. And things you know before you hear them, those are you. Those are why you are in the world. I've always loved that one.
Yeah. Well, and that that poem speaks of my elder neighbor.
Yeah.
Of, you don't need to hear so many things.
Right.
You don't need to see so many things. You don't need to. And it's weakening you. It's weakening your attention. It's weakening your senses. It's weakening your ability to see what's true and real, because you see too many things.
I know my sister and I decided as we get older, we start to understand why the elders in Nehemiah never say anything.
Yeah.
We're just like, why bother?
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
They just sit quietly, and if someone asks them a question, they give them an answer. But it's like, it becomes very, I've become more and more aware of the importance of the person's journey, right?
Yeah.
And my job is not to fix them, not to tell them what direction to take, unless they ask me. Then I can.
Yeah.
But I can't jump in and interfere, because my interference, and there's so many science fiction fantasy films about this. You can't go back in time and turn something around. It always ends up happening anyway. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so there's something about presence and presencing, right? And that seems to be the role of the elder oftentimes, is that they have a presence. They make themselves available, like your neighbor.
Yeah.
He's not sitting in his chair inside of his house in a darkened room. He's out there in the neighborhood.
Right.
I'm here if you want to talk to me, right?
And you speak Spanish, or you have Google Translate.
Yeah. He'll work it out somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
willing.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but but he's not running around yelling at the kids,
No.
telling them what to do, where to go, pick up their garbage. There are people like that, and they're really annoying. I actually
Right.
wrote another thing about people like that. It's another short thing from
The HOA people.
is that what they are?
Well, maybe you don't know that that acronym. So they have
Okay.
these. There's some like subdivisions or some like areas where there's a homeowners association, and
Oh,
it's like these extra like communal rules
oh yeah.
that
That's
you
what I
have
moved
to.
into in
Yeah.
Switzerland.
Okay. Yeah.
That had been established in 1945.
Yeah.
And they were the
Yeah. And
same
there's some people
people.
who take it really seriously.
Oh, they did. They had
Yeah.
meetings. They invited us.
Right.
We
Yeah.
never went.
Yeah. And you get the snippy little passive aggressive letters.
Okay, you'll get why I'm reading you this, because just think of those people. Okay.
Yeah.
So I wrote this too. I think there is a bear back there. I hear the crack of heavy wood breaking under the weight of his body. He's okay. He's just doing things a bear should do. Turning over rocks, licking up ant larvae, meandering, following his most astute nose. The berries are plentiful this year. He will be satisfied, and the dogs and I would simply be a rude interruption to his perfect morning. I put 2 more sticks on the fire to take off the morning chill and dry the dew. I'm too impatient for the sun. Before too long, my efforts to stay warm will seem excessive as the sun climbs higher and penetrates the damp corners of the forest. I hear the loon calling as he flies from Little Lake to this one. Soon he will land here and take up where he left off, floating solitarily, fishing and preening. Every day he visits his kind. Every day he visits his kind, though. Another fellow who also spends the day alone. A flight and a visit, diving and spiraling in the water, they share in the pure joy of togetherness. And then suddenly, knowingly, one skips across the top of the water, furiously beating his wings to lift himself into the heavens. to fly as only he can, back to the lake that is his source. His appetite is so great that this little lake can only support one of them at a time. And so in order to live, he must live alone. But for one short interval each day, in which he is driven by a longing for communion, he lifts himself, heaving his awkward body heavenward, to rejoice in the superabundance of his life with a friend. And the squirrel chatters and chastises incessantly. He alone is certain that fanciful flight will be his demise, certain that everyone except him will starve to death, certain that he still has much to do, more food to gather and stash. And his certainty is making him awfully intolerable.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's,
It reminded me of when
it's
you were
very
talking
whimsical.
about.
I like it a lot.
What's that?
I said it's very whimsical. I like it a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty whimsical actually. But that's what those people remind me of. We had a lot of them in our neighborhood in Switzerland. There's one woman in particular, Miss Frau Bebier, her name was, and her poor husband.
Is a horse supposed to whinny right there?
Hmm?
You remember that part from Young Frankenstein? That was that one bit where every time they said that one woman's name, there was a horse that would whinny.
Oh no, I don't remember.
Would whinny in the background.
I haven't seen that movie for ages.
Oh, her name was something very similar to that, like Frau Bopper, and you'd hear a horse in the background every time. Anyway, sorry, it was a very obscure reference. Okay,
well, anyway,
no one got it. It's all right.
Her husband cut the grass with a push lawnmower, and then she'd go out and lay on it with scissors.
Oh boy!
And we would come home from hiking, far away. We'd have to drive, and we'd get home at like 11 o'clock at night. And as soon as we got out of the vehicle, you could see Frau Bebier.
Yeah.
And her husband he played trumpet, and he played really well, but he had to go up in the attic and play his trumpet. And it was like swelteringly hot up there in the summertime. So he used to have the window wide open up there. You just see this poor man, and it's a little attic, like he's like
right up there playing his trumpet.
And she was cutting the grass with her scissors.
Oh boy!
She was the squirrel. My thing. Anyway, this was wonderful, Jeremy.
I've enjoyed it as well.
Yeah. It was nice to end on some whimsy.
Yeah, agreed. God willing, we'll be here next week, and we'll be making our way through the Heliand. So, thanks everyone for joining us.
Yeah,
thanks for coming along.
We'll see you next week.
God willing, we'll be here next week.
Bye-bye.